Welcome everybody to our BNI Talks webinar. My name is Steve Tannuzzo, your host and your guest. Today I am presenting on a follow-up to a previous webinar on LinkedIn. This will be called LinkedIn 102, Building Authority. I want to get into it right now. But first, a little bit about our guest. Oh, why thank you, Steve. Hello, everybody. I am your presenter. I am the Global Communications Coordinator for BNI, so I send out SuccessNet and all those types of lots of emails and stuff. Sorry if I'm sending out a lot of them, but you know what? It's all relevant stuff. I also am a copywriting and SEO pro, and I have a business called Tannuzzo Creative. I've been in BNI for 22 years, 15 as a member. I started my business 14 years ago. I've held every leadership team position and every director position, so I've been around BNI for quite a long time. I was a class coach for Dale Carnegie training. One of my favorite accomplishments was winning an adult spelling bee because I lost one when I was a kid, and I just had that opportunity to win it when I was 42 or so. And of course, I've hosted this webinar in one form or another in different places, first in just Massachusetts and now throughout the whole US since 2017. So that's a little bit about me, and let's jump into what we're talking about today. And that is this. So let's start with this question. I think it's an important one. What does it mean to build authority on LinkedIn? For a lot of people, they think, well, I guess that means that, I'm trying to show myself as important. But what you're really trying to show yourself as is someone who is an expert in their field, right? So there's a bunch of definitions here, but really we just want to look at the first two definitions, which are actually not the first two, the first one and the last one. So the first definition here from Webster says power to influence or command thought, opinion, or behavior, as in the president's authority, right? So you're the authority in your field or in your industry. And then the last one at the bottom there says an individual cited or appealed to as an expert, right? The prosecutor called the psychiatrist as an authority. So are you an authority in your field? That's the question we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about how to post as an authority so that you are kind of separating yourself from the competition and showing yourself as someone who knows what they're talking about, is a thought leader, and is someone who is worthy of getting the business, because ultimately that's what you want, right? You want to get some business out of this from all your work posting. So when we talk about authority, are we talking about building your audience or building your authority? And this is one of the questions that came up in one-to-ones I've had after the first LinkedIn webinar was, I don't know what to post, or here's what I'm posting, let me know if that's good. And what I get a lot of is, I do every Monday, I do Monday motivation, and I post a quote. Now, put that actually in the chat, if you will. Is that something you've tried before? And let me know how that works. Yep, there's somebody. Okay, you haven't done that. Okay, so here's the thing about posting things like selfies and just a Monday motivation or a quote or some like a quick video that you saw that you thought was interesting, is it does get people interested in what you posted. They're going to look, and they may even give you a like for it. And so there's someone who's there who's kind of interested and it's going to see your posts. But what you're doing there is you're building an audience. You're not really building authority, because first off, you're posting someone else's content, not your own. Now, if you were a little more creative, you might have posted that and then told a story around the post, whatever the motivation is, tell a personal story, something like that. Now you're starting to build authority. But for now, it's just building an audience. And we've seen lots of people with a very large audience that don't really get a lot of business from LinkedIn, because they're posting more like it's Facebook rather than posting like is LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is for business, and it should be that way, right? So the thing that we can talk about to separate these two is that audience building is easy and fun, right? Cool. All right. I like doing easy and fun stuff. But authority building is difficult and rewarding. And so I think this is the important thing here, is that authority building takes time. It takes a plan. This is something where you're going to have a strategy to say, here's what I want to talk about. Here are the topics that I'm really good at talking about. Here's what I'm going to post and how I'm going to do it, right? As opposed to, well, let me just throw a selfie and talk about my weekend, or, post a motivational thing, right? So there's a little bit more work around the post, but the more you work on this, you'll see more engagement in your posts. So you'll get some comments at the bottom and a conversation started, which is very important. All right, I'm curious. Time for a poll. And the poll says, do you consider yourself an expert or authority in your field or industry? Here are your options. Yes, I have the experience and success in my business. Second choice is maybe, I'm still learning and improving. And the third one is no, I need to change careers. I'm hoping nobody hits number 3, but you know what? It does come up sometimes. We've all changed careers at some point. I think I'm just very curious about this, because first off, if I'm posting about building authority and you're attending this, you're probably one of those people who's pretty good at what they do or an expert at what they do, but they're not really getting the success out of LinkedIn that they want, right? So let's see what we've got here. All right, I like the confidence in some of the people here. This is excellent. Okay, all right, let's end the poll in about 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, poll ended. We'll share the results. There you have it. So yes, I have the experience and success in my business. 68%. That's great. More than half of you are set up to be LinkedIn authorities. Great. Those of you who are doing maybe, I'm still learning and improving, you may be young in your business or just new to your business and still learning the ropes and don't quite feel confident yet. That is okay. It's still okay to start building authority from things that you learn. And by the way, life lessons are a big, big part of posting on LinkedIn. So if you learn something in your business that is new, that was a new experience for you, start putting that out there. You're going to start building an audience. You're going to start engaging conversations with people who say, yeah, I had that same experience, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me stop sharing here. Okay. So let's talk about this. How do I build authority on LinkedIn? Okay. Very important to ask yourselves, when you come up with an idea for something that you want to post, I'm seeing some comments that are sent directly to me, and Lori is calling herself old, and she's like 300 years younger than I am. Anyway, how do I build authority on LinkedIn? So ask yourself, is this post quality content that separates me from my competition? A lot of times you'll see something that someone posted and say, well, I can write that too. And you're essentially, I don't say plagiarizing, but you're just kind of taking an idea and not necessarily spinning it on your own, right? So what you want to do is look at what's out there, see what other people are posting that is successful, but make sure that it applies to you and it applies to people who are reading your content, who would say, based on what this person just said, I want to have a conversation with them, I want to connect with them, or I want to do business with them, right? Next question to ask is, does it solve a problem? A lot of the posts that we do should be educational, informational posts about your business, so that someone can say, you know what, I have that same problem that you're talking about that you solve for other people. So that's a reason to connect, right? Does it create an action? So you post something, whatever it is, and someone says, all right, this is someone that I want to connect with, or I want to do business with, or I want to attend their event because there's a link at the bottom, or a QR code, or whatever you've got that you're putting on there. This is all important stuff. So a post should be pretty, I don't say complex, because it really should be simple, but it should have all the elements that you need to start building a relationship with the people who are following you. Finally, to start a conversation. The conversations that you have in LinkedIn are critical. I talked about this in the previous webinar, which you can look up on the BNI Team USA YouTube channel. But what's important here is when we say, does it start a conversation? What we mean here is, are the comments working, right? Is it, you have a post, people see it, they reply or respond with a comment, you reply to as many people as you can. As you build authority, you're going to get a lot more people who are having longer conversations. But in the beginning, it's usually just 1 or 2 people. But keep the conversation going and make sure that you're on top of checking in every so often to make sure that no one is, get the dogs out of the room. There we go. We want to make sure that no one is kind of left hanging, especially if they've got a good question, especially if they got something that could lead to business, right? So all of these things are very, very important to do. Again, quality content solves a problem, creates an action, and starts a conversation, right? By the way, if you have any questions, throw them in Q&A about this. Okay, so let's talk about posting on LinkedIn. This is very important. I don't know if my pal Carlos Benuelos is on today. He is, of course, a master of mobile computing, but notice these stats, and these are from last year, so I'm sure the stats are even higher on the mobile side. Almost 60% of people who look at LinkedIn look at it on their phones, as opposed to their computer, and very few people on a tablet. And so when you look at these numbers, you have to make sure that what you're posting looks good on a phone, on a smaller screen, right? Okay, so remember this, audience building versus authority building. We want to make sure that what we're doing here is authority building at all times. So what's important to know is that, yeah, I'm doing something that I can still do an easy and fun post, but it still has to have those elements, right? Is it solving a problem? Does it, cause an action? Is it good content? And whatever the last one was, I lost it. Does it start a conversation, right? Those are really important. So here are things that you can post. You can start with a video. So videos, here's something important to know, by the way. If you're using video, please upload the video directly from your desktop to LinkedIn, as opposed to posting it on YouTube, where you might usually keep all your videos and then putting the link to YouTube into the post on LinkedIn. And the reason for that is simple. LinkedIn loves video, and they're starved for more and more video. So they're going to give your video that you uploaded directly to LinkedIn more views than if you post the link. So it's always best to do fresh, original content, even if it's already somewhere else, right? Next, in my opinion, people are afraid to do this, but this is what gets people attention. Someone who has an opinion, especially if it's not necessarily a popular opinion, but of course, keep it to business. Don't do anything political or anything like that. Don't get crazy. Keep it to, so you may have an opinion about the way your business works, or the way people are working today, during the pandemic, after the pandemic. Put it out there and start a conversation, because that's how you get the engagement, and that's how you get the followers, right? Next, life lessons, right? What have you learned the hard way? That is a great story, a great thing to post, right? None of us is perfect. So the more information that you're going to give out about life lessons and how you can, what you learned from it, it shows that you're someone who is relatable and not perfect, but someone who is experienced. And that's how you get that authority. Hey, I learned something. I had my mind changed. Here's what I used to think. Here's what I think now. That is a great thing to post. Yep. Next, in bottom left, you've got success stories. Well, this is a big one, of course. We want people to know all about our successes, right? Here's what really worked well for me, right? Lori wrote, I love posts that really help the client. By the way, Lori, you're on hosts and panelists, so only I'm seeing this. So you can change that to everyone at the bottom so everybody can see what you're posting. But yeah, so if you are writing about how you helped clients, obviously someone's going to say, I need that same help. And therefore, I'm looking to work with you, right? So you get some business out of it that way. You may have an event coming up, right? You may do a workshop or a networking event or, you know, a community outreach event, something like that. You definitely want to put that out there. You want to talk about it, very important. But also, as you're doing this, what are the elements of it? So you want to talk about what it is, when it is. You may have a video related to it to post. Details, obviously, a QR code, a link, all of those things. And this is the kind of thing that you can post multiple times because you'll do kind of a save the date followed by, 1 week away, followed by a few days away, and it's tomorrow, and getting that kind of attention and building up some excitement and anticipation for your event, whether it's online or in person, doesn't really matter. And finally, lower right corner, a poll. If you're not seeing enough engagement, ask a simple question, right? So this poll says, work from home every day has been a big shift for me, but surprisingly, I've started to adapt and get more of a routine. For those of you who work from home, how do you feel about working from home more regularly? And of course, they get the results. And of course, you're going to vote in the poll and of course, put their opinions at the bottom. And it's another time for you to engage with them to say, oh, that's an interesting take on it. I hadn't thought about that. But one thing that's important to remember when we are talking about going about and reading through people's posts and choosing the best posts to respond to is don't just write great post, because that's not really going to get you any kind of engagement, because there is a way for you as someone who's building authority to engage other people on their posts so that they will follow you. This is something I've been doing lately, and I'm getting a lot more followers because I'm giving not just my opinion on things, but responding and putting in the why behind it. So I'm not writing great posts. I'm saying this works for me because, and here's the reason. The more you do that, the more you'll have a better chance to engage with more people, and they'll want to follow you. All right. Next, let's talk about 3 essential parts of a LinkedIn post. What's the first part? Anyone know? Well, it's these 3. It's the hook, the body, and the summary, call to action. The hook is the first part. And the reason we have a hook is because when you post on LinkedIn and people see the post, it is just 1 or 2 lines. And then it says, read more. So if people are going about and checking and seeing, what they're reading as a scrolling through, if you don't hook them, they're going to scroll right past you. So for example, if I have a big event coming up and I say, it's holiday time and it's getting cold outside, blah, 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 it's going to say read more. And that's all it's going to say. And people are like, I'm not reading that one. As opposed to big event coming up, don't miss it, right? So you want to make sure that your first few words are the most important ones. I have some examples here. So here's one. And you can see at the bottom of this, there's that see more. That's what they all look like. Sometimes you only get 1 line. This says, those interested in freelancing always ask this question: how do you start landing clients? See more. I'm curious. I want to know how to start landing clients. I'm going to open up that post and read it, right? Here's another example. Samantha writes, 8 steps to quickly and easily repurpose your blog posts into authority building LinkedIn content without doing double the work. I like that idea a lot, right? Again, that's one that I'm definitely going to check out and make sure that I'm reading it. Okay, this is Richard Vanderblom, and he is somewhere Sweden, I think, somewhere Scandinavian. And he is like the LinkedIn algorithm authority. I'm saying this to you right now, not for his hook, although it's a good one, but to make sure that you are following this influencer. He has the most up to date. He has a company that monitors Google, LinkedIn's algorithm. And within that, he responds back to all of the people in his LinkedIn following to give them ideas and tips on how to do better on LinkedIn. So definitely follow Richard. He's great. Stephen Schneider, my SEO featured snippet strategy plus 10 benefits that boost SEO. So if you want to get more attention on your SEO, definitely make sure that you're opening that one and reading it, right? So you see how these hooks are working? I'm gonna give you a final one. Here's Jake Ward. He writes, we bootstrapped a startup to 7 figures ARR and 50K users in a year, right? I'm reading this and I'm like, I don't know if this is for me. It's kind of like over my head a little bit. I'm not sure what ARR means and all that. And so here's the thing. This is exactly what he wants. This guy has built up a very big business, and he's got 2 businesses within it. There's Byword and there's Mac, right? So he's looking for a specific audience that's going to react to that. So don't be afraid to narrowcast, I guess is what I'm saying, is to create a hook that's only going to apply to certain people who are your customers, right? So don't be afraid. I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm trying to cast the widest net possible. But sometimes the widest net becomes so general that it doesn't really resonate with anyone, right? Okay, I think that was the last one I had on that one. Okay, great. So let's get to the body or the story. By the way, does this, the hook, the body, this is all kind of like sounding like your weekly presentation in BNI, isn't it? So we're at the body or the story where you're talking about the goal of your post body is to deliver on your promise and provide your audience with actionable advice, right? So this is important. Make sure that your hook isn't just a hook to get them in, like clickbait, and then it's you bait and switch, right? No, keep it consistent and deliver on the promise of the hook that you provided, right? And tell your story however you want to tell it. Make sure that you're providing links or QR codes and all that other stuff at the end, because that's where, whoops, hold on. Where's my, okay. I think I left off the conclusion. So I'll tell you. Number 3 is the wrap up. I know I had it. Had Jimmy Fallon on it. Is he gone? He's gone. That's a shame. Okay. Well, so the third part is, of course, the conclusion. And the conclusion is simple, and that is to wrap it up. Don't go too long on this. Because if your LinkedIn messaging is too long, people are not going to want to read it. And another thing is, if you'll notice on most LinkedIn posts from the top influencers, is you will find, that's right, Ty says TLDR, you don't want something that's going to bore people to death. Remember, people are scrolling on their phones. They don't want to read anything that's going to take more than a minute to read, right? And preferably less than that. So you'll see a lot of people that have that hook. If I go back to the hooks that look like this, notice that Jake writes this. He writes the first sentence, and then he's almost starts a new paragraph and starts with another one. This is how you do it. Each sentence becomes a paragraph. So it's very airy and light, and people will find their way to scroll through. If it's too dense with text, they're going to say, nope, I'm not going to read it. And they're going to scroll on to the next one. So that formatting is very important. Okay. All right. When should you post? Well, this is from HubSpot, from their 2023 social media trends report. And if you look at it, you will see that a quarter of them say between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. And another quarter of them say between 12 and 3, and 16% between 3 and 6, and everybody else after 6 p.m. So what is that telling you? Does it matter when you post? Here's what I would say. Fool around with a few different times. Try something in the morning, the afternoon, and at night. Try something on the weekends. Just be experimental in the beginning. As you're building an audience, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is once you figure it out, be consistent and then post at the same time. If you're only doing one post a week, post every Monday or Tuesday, which day, every day it is, and make sure that you're putting it in at the same time all the time, right? Right. Kim says it depends on your audience, right? And I agree. If you're in New York and a lot of your audience is on the West Coast, you want to factor in the time difference. If you work internationally, same thing, right? Randy's asking if Monday is a good day or a bad day. I will tell you this, Randy, most people will post on Mondays because it's Monday and it's Motivation Monday, and there's a lot more traffic on Mondays than there are on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So again, depends on how you want to do it, but the more consistent you are, after a while, if you post every Friday morning at 9 a.m., you're going to have that same audience finding you all the time because that's the time that they're on LinkedIn, right? Let's see, Lori says small local business owners probably won't see it until after work or first thing the next morning, right? And Lori, one of the good things about LinkedIn now is that they are expanding. This is a Richard Vanderblom thing. They are expanding the time of the reach now. So it's not kind of a one and done. You may see it posting and hanging on to LinkedIn a little bit longer than usual. Okay. How often to post on LinkedIn? Okay. So I've seen so many different responses here, but if you're just getting started with this, I like what this says here on your personal profile. And by the way, if you're building authority, you should only be using your personal profile, not a company account if you've got a company one, because you as the authoritative figure, the thought leader, the person who is the authority, you should be the one who is just looking at building your audience as the person who does this business, but you're the person who is the authority. So once a week at minimum, absolutely. If it's less than once a week, you shouldn't do it, right? It's not worth your time. Maximum, one per day, absolutely. I don't like to flood a feed. And by the way, in the beginning, you may have all these great ideas, but after a month, you're going to be like, oh, I shouldn't have posted so many things, and now I'm running out of ideas. But work up to the ideal, which is 2 to 3 times per week, and no more than that. Unless you have a huge, huge following and people are just clamoring for more info. But what I would do if I were you is if I've got lots of ideas, I would post more than 2 or 3 times a week, and I would start a backlog of posts that I can have. So if I go on vacation, I've got stuff that I can post, or if I'm kind of running low on ideas, don't worry, I've got a big backlog of ideas to post. Right? Tiffany says, I keep a list of all my LinkedIn ideas when I have too many on one day and save them for when I don't have any. Absolutely. And that's how it works too. There are sometimes you're like, man, I got this long list of great ideas. And then sometimes you're like, I got nothing. And that's the thing about posting on any social media account is never, ever just assume you're going to have a great idea every time you post. So if you're not making a list and getting that ready to post in the future, it's not going to work out. You're going to wake up one day and you're going to say, you know what, I got nothing. I'm going to post a Monday motivation quote and be done with it. And you're going to start losing your authority, right? So very important. We got a bunch of questions happening. All right, we're going to get to Q&A in about a minute. Whoops, went too fast. Hey, guess what? If you need help, hire Steve. Who, me? Yes, me. For 2024, I'm taking on 5 to 7 new clients for my LinkedIn ghostwriting business. That is it. I can't do more than that because I've got my BNI work, I've got my copywriting work, and I've got my LinkedIn work. So if you're interested in having a one-to-one, learning more about this, having a discovery meeting with me, shoot me an email. It's just my name, steve@tannuzzo.com, and we can talk about that. All right. let us jump into right now some Q&A. All right, let's see what we've got here. I have a gift business for over 27 years and feel I don't get enough from LinkedIn. I post pictures of my packages. How do I post about sending a package? How do I post about sending a package helps their business grow? Yeah, all right. So here's the thing. You have to get creative. And I think if you have a gift business, something, a physical product, you definitely want to see photos. You definitely want to shoot videos and post them that way and just kind of come at it from the different direction. If you're just doing the same post all the time and it looks the same and you're getting the same low engagement, you have to shake it up a little bit. So get as creative as you can when you're posting. Okay. All right. Shirley asks, if you post a video of your own, how long would you suggest? Oh, yeah, video length is very, very important. So what I would say is if your videos are more than 3 minutes, that's not going to work. Cut it down, edit it, and just save the good parts of it to post. I would keep a video to 90 seconds or less. For me, a 30-second video would be awesome, right? But don't go too long because people will scroll away and not pay attention to you. That's how you lose authority, right? Okay, next, Brent says, I have a personal and a business LinkedIn account. Do I post the same content on both? Sometimes, yes. Let's say you're having a company event or something like that. You're doing a webinar or some sort of workshop. I would definitely do it that way. But I would like to definitely keep them separate. Present as the business on your LinkedIn business account. And on your personal account, present as the thought leader, as the person in charge of the business or the person who is coming up with ideas, depending on what, you may work for a big company and you're maybe the IT person or you're the COO, whichever. I think it's really important to make sure that you are separating the business account from the personal account. And that's how you're building authority on your personal account, right? All right, let's see what we got next. What things should we consider if we're thinking about using AI to help us create posts? Great question, Ty, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. So if you are using AI, I love AI. I talk about it all the time, even as a copywriter, but I don't rely on the writing of AI. I rely on the results from AI. And so here's the thing. What should we consider? So I think it's great for ideas. So you say, let's say you're a real estate agent. You'll say, act like, a top performing real estate agent and give me 10 ideas for great LinkedIn posts that will start conversations or that will get me more followers, right? And the results will come in. Some you'll use, some you won't. And then from there, you can start creating posts and ask them to the act as is an important prompt with AI. So you might say act as a LinkedIn influencer and format it accordingly. A post about, I don't know, selling, houses in a tough economy, right? And you'll get your post. And from there, here's the important thing. From there, please put your own personality into it. Put some soul into it. Make sure it reads like you and it sounds like you and not, essentially, you're going to get your responses that you get from AI are going to kind of sound like Wikipedia entries, right? So you got to put your personality, especially if you're building authority, right? Do not rely on AI shooting out something and you posting it. That's not going to work, right? So, but it is something to use, a great tool to use, no question. Okay, we talked about video length already. What else do we have here? Can I email the slideshow? Yes, I can. Best thing to do is, well, actually, hold on a minute. I don't know if I can do this. I think I can. Can I share? my slideshow in while it's like currently open. I don't know. Let's see. We're going to find out. See if it goes in. Nope. It says file is in use. All right. Too bad. I'll try to turn it off and share it in a little bit so you can get it. Okay. Let's say you have a small audience. Should you build authority before building more of an audience? So you're kind of doing both at the same time. You know, you definitely want to get more followers. And the way to get followers, apart from posting really good content, is to find people who you think would be great to follow you and start commenting on those people's posts. Because not only will the person who posted give you a follow, probably, but the people who are reading or in the conversations with those people will want to follow you as well. All right. Let's see. John says, I get this message when I try to sign into LinkedIn. All right. Oh, okay. Oh, weird. Okay. I don't know, John. Let's talk about that offline and find out why your LinkedIn is not working for you. Okay. What app or program do I do this AI with, says Heather. Okay. So you can go to openai.com and use ChatGPT. If you've got a Canva account, Canva has some AI that you can work with. There are so many out there right now. Google has something called Bard. You go to bard.google.com and use that. Microsoft Bing has Bing AI, which you can use. There are lots and lots of them. There's something called WriteSonic, which is very popular for people who are looking for a writing app. There's Write.ai as well, or Writer.ai. So lots of different ones for you to try out. And most of them have a free version. Most offer both a free and a paid. Okay. Let's see. Is it beneficial to post links to blogs or links to customer reviews? So yes. Again, if you want to create if you've got a short blog post that's already existing, I would post it directly onto LinkedIn rather than doing the link for it. But here's what I would do. If I'm going to post the link to the blog post, which is going to get people to your website, not a bad thing, right? Is I would post a message that's short and sweet that says, here's something that you may be interested in. Here's why it's interesting to you. And then post the link, right? Okay, let's see. Who's next? Best practices for articles. LinkedIn has their own articles. It's best to use their to host this or share a blurb and link to the article or website. Okay, so yeah. So I think that if you're going to share articles, if they're really long, try to edit it down and then maybe link to the original. You know, a 2,000 word blog post works fine on a website. It does not work well on LinkedIn. So try to keep it as short and sweet as you can, right? And what about podcast episodes? So yeah, absolutely. Podcasts are so popular right now, and it makes sense to post them as well. Talk about who your guest on the podcast is, what the topic was, and why they want to check it out. Short and sweet again, simple way to do it, and then link over to it. Right? Okay, that's all of those. Let's see, do I post the same thing that I would post as a blog post on our website? Oh, we talked about that already. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. Should you share the same content from Instagram to LinkedIn? So I try to make everything a little bit different wherever possible, but more than likely, the people who follow you on Instagram are not the people who follow you on LinkedIn. It's possible the people who follow you on Facebook follow you on Instagram, but the Instagram to LinkedIn leap is a little bit different. So not the end of the world to share the same content, but even so, on a LinkedIn post, again, as I mentioned, you know, here's the post with a good hook. Here's why it's important for you to see it. right? When you post and people look at but don't comment, should I contact them or message them to keep them engaged? So I guess you're talking about people who may like your post but don't comment on it. It's a little weird to reach out to people who liked it and didn't comment on it. So I wouldn't necessarily do that unless you know them. But even then, I would send them more of a private message to get a conversation going rather than just saying, hey, you liked my post, and trying to kind of get, so because there are some people out there who just don't like to comment on posts. That doesn't mean they don't buy, though, by the way. Let's see. Does LinkedIn have a scheduler? They have something where you can post, but it's not like a big broad thing like Hootsuite or something like that. You may want to use one of those external apps for that. And let's see. There are a lot of comments here. Is it beneficial to post links to blogs, right? So yeah, absolutely. Links. Oh, by the way, customer reviews. By the way, ask people to do a testimonial for you on LinkedIn, by the way. And by the way, it's easy in the BNI chapter because you have people already giving you testimonials. Have them do that. It's going to expand your profile and make it better. So definitely do that. All right. Let's see. Anything else? What about original articles that you wrote as opposed to a post? Yes. Kate asks that question, and it's a great one. Definitely, it's better for you to write an original article than to something you may have seen on, Forbes.com or something like that. That's interesting. Instead of that, write your own article or say, I saw this article on Forbes.com. I thought it was really interesting, and here's my take on it. Or here's why I disagree with the writer. That's going to get people's attention, right?